If you like Windows Phone 8 but you're tired of HTC and Nokia, move over because Samsung is in the States with the ATIV Odyssey. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and we've known about this device for a while, but it's finally available at Verizon Wireless. It's going to set you back $49.99, but it's got some decent specifications, including a dual-core processor, a 4-inch display, a 5-megapixel camera, and of course Windows Phone 8 with 4G LTE connectivity. Now this thing isn't going to beat the One X or the Galaxy S3 or the Note 2 or the Droid DNA, but what it does provide is another OEM in the United States working with Windows Phone 8. And you know what? We have our brand loyalties, and for a lot of people, Samsung fits the bill. Is this the ultimate device on Windows Phone 8? We'll find out in the full review, but first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like the ATIV Odyssey for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, they'll help you set up everything. They'll help you walk out working. You'll get your email, your web, your contacts, your settings, all that stuff set up so when you walk out the door, you can enjoy your ATIV Odyssey or whatever you buy without having to worry about getting everything set up. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. Let's go find out and see if this ATIV Odyssey is the ultimate Windows Phone 8 device, or maybe you should splurge a little bit, spend 50 more bucks, and get the Lumia 920. We'll find out in the full review, which starts right now. I love a good high-end phone, I'm sure you do too, but they're not for everybody, particularly if you're looking at Windows 8 devices. There are a lot of great devices out there on the market right now. 3 of those are on Verizon, and one of those is the Samsung ATIV Odyssey. This is a new smartphone from Samsung, their first Windows 8 smartphone in the United States, and it's available for a relatively affordable $49.99 at Verizon Wireless with a 2-year agreement. Now, specs-wise, you're looking at a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. You've got a 4-inch Super AMOLED display, 480 by 800 pixels, so nice and vibrant there, although it's not HD. Still very vibrant and colorful. A 5-megapixel camera here on the back with 720p HD recording capabilities, a 2,100 milliamp hour removable battery, micro SIM card slot, Windows Phone 8, and of course 4G LTE connectivity on Verizon. It joins the Nokia Lumia 822 and HTC Windows Phone 8X as kind of the high-end offering. Sits somewhere in the middle there, if you will, somewhere between the 822 and the 8X, although some can argue the 822 has some great specs as well and is very similar in a lot of ways to the ATIV Odyssey. But again, with Windows Phone 8, much like how we're seeing with Android now in 2013, you've got a lot of different software distinguishers that set them apart. So yeah, the specs may be very similar. It may have a Super AMOLED display and just another dual-core processor and just another version of Windows Phone 8. That said, there's some great software features that set it apart. Let's take a look and see what comes out of the box. Then we'll talk about Windows Phone 8 and talk about some of the things that makes this device unique from some of the other devices on the market. First of all, out of the box, you get a couple of Verizon exclusive applications. One of those is DataSense. Now, back in October, Microsoft talked about that when they re-announced or re-released Windows Phone 8 in San Francisco, but DataSense is a Verizon exclusive application, and we talk a little bit about it in the unboxing. What it does is it monitors your data and gives you some better ways to conserve your data, since, you know what, in today's world, most people are on tiered data plans. So you can see the examples I've set up, but you can come in here and say, you know what, I get 5 gigabytes of data per month from Verizon, my monthly reset date's the 18th, you know what, my cycle resets, and it's a monthly thing. So I have, using this example, 4.9 of 5 gigabytes remaining. It tells me when my limit will reset, and then it gives me a really useful usage calculator as to what app is using the most data. So app downloads, people, Internet Explorer, and then it gives me the ability to conserve data even more once it understands what I'm doing and how I'm using my data. So very cool application there. In addition, you do get some other Verizon stuff out of the box. You're seeing Foursquare and a couple things I've installed. Battery Widget, which is actually a very fantastic battery widget. You know my hatred for the fact that there's no physical battery percentage indicator in Windows Phone 8. Battery Widget is a great one. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But of course, the Microsoft stuff, games, Internet Explorer, Live Wallpaper is actually a Samsung one that I find particularly useful. We'll quickly look at this so you can see. You can come into your gallery and choose pictures all the way up to 12 pictures, and it's basically a wallpaper circulation. It'll circulate through those 12, so I can choose a picture. Let's find another one. Go to a sample picture. You know what, we'll do the shoes, and we'll bring it back in. So I've got 5 pictures to choose from, so when I turn the phone off and back on, it will select one of those pictures randomly and bring it right back up. It happens to be my phone this time, but we'll bring up a random assortment of those pictures that I had listed under those 12, or those 5 out of those 12 pictures, I should say. Mini Diary, another useful Samsung application that's exclusive to the ATIV Odyssey, since it is the only Windows Phone device in the US right now that's made by Samsung. My Verizon Mobile, NFL Mobile Now, which is a Samsung application that's particularly useful, and I keep hitting all kinds of buttons here. Let's go down. Photo Editor, Slacker Radio, Store, voicemail, visual voicemail, VZ Navigator, and then of course wallet capability. So let's continue to take a look at some of these Samsung applications. Now one of my favorites, and I'll just briefly go over these. If you want to see a more in-depth comparison, take a look at the Samsung ATIV Odyssey software video that I did a couple of days ago on YouTube. But you can see here weather, Dallas weather, and it gives me kind of an amalgamation, if you will, between weather, news, stocks, all in one application. So when I pull out of it, you can see on the home screen, I've got my Dallas weather. It's 77 degrees right now. Stark comparison to what it is on the East Coast. So you East Coasters, I feel for you. I know it's cold. I know it's really, really cold over there, but it's 77 degrees here. It's a pretty good day, all things considered. For January in Texas, I'll take 77 degrees. Now, you can see the home screen, and if you're coming from a Windows Phone 7 device, you can obviously see some changes here. They've expanded it out. You'll notice there's far less black space around the sides than there was in Windows Phone 7 and 7.5. And down here, you'll see the arrow has been moved to the bottom. You can still swipe physically on your own, or you can click the arrow button and that'll take you forward and backwards. You've got a physical back button, home button, and a search button, all of which are capacitive. Front-facing camera up here on the left side, a volume rocker, micro SD card slot. On the right side, physical camera button, power button in typical Samsung look and feel here on the top right-hand corner, a 3.5mm headphone jack, a micro USB charging port, and of course your 2,100 milliamp hour battery behind that battery cover with a micro SIM card slot. So really fits well in the hand. Weight-wise, you're looking at about 4.3 ounces here, 4.38 if I remember right, to be exact. So you're looking at, phone keeps slipping off and down onto my phone dog mat. That's a different phone. This is not your review phone. And so you can see through here. Different look and feel. What I like about Windows Phone 8, for example, we can come in here, you'll see with messaging, for example, I can change around the size of the tiles. And you remember from Windows Phone 7, the whole time I was like, why can't you change the size of the messaging tile? I can really see a use case where when somebody gets a text message, it'll show up as a preview. Now, the benefit is, so you can make it smaller, for example. I'll send a text message so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll say hi, and I'll send it over to this phone. And obviously you're going to see it pop up with a 1 here in just a second. But what's really cool is when you expand it out, you can see 1 right there, you get a preview of the message. And I absolutely love that. So you can expand out with calendar, with email, with people, and you can really get just more information on the home screen, or you can make it smaller if you see fit. This is a demo phone number that I'm using, not my actual phone number, in case you were wondering. 4-inch display here, keyboard very much unchanged from Windows Phone 7.5, very similar, and portrait to landscape transitions are still nice and fast. I found the keyboard to be even better to use than it was in Windows Phone 7.5, so we'll say the quick brown fox is happy that it is time for another cup of coffee. Cup of coffee. Keyboard's easy to type on. I won't spend too much time on that, although it still does frustrate me that you've got a ton of dead space around the keyboard here. So even in landscape mode, it's really hard to utilize the full 4-inch display here and get it in all of its Super AMOLED glory. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for something you want to use in landscape mode because you're coming from maybe a keyboarded device, could be an issue there just because it's not really maximizing the use of the space on the sides. This is the battery widget I was talking about. Absolutely love it. We'll go in here and take a look, and you can see the usage. It's called battery widget, and you can see the usage, see what's used the most battery throughout the days that you've had it on, either on standby or that you've been using it throughout the day. 69%. Then you can scroll through here, but you can really make this device your own and customize it. And that's what Microsoft's really hitting home here. It's the one device you can really make yours and customize. I can scroll through here, for example, and just kind of move these icons around and really make it as much as or customize it rather as much as I want to, and I really like that functionality. Very, very cool there. Last but not least, let's take a look at the browser, because you do have 4G LTE connectivity on Verizon, bringing 4G LTE connectivity to a very affordable price. So we'll load up phonedog.com, and again, portrait landscape transitions, nice and fast. Windows Phone has always done exceptionally well with web browsing, and that's no exception here. We can go in here and do a separate tab. We have the ability to add a tab. It's pretty quick and pretty easy, and you just click the menu button, or I should say the equivalent of the right click button, if you will, the 3 dots over here in the corner, to easily access all of those tabs. Additionally, you have recent favorites, settings, and more, so nothing really changed from Windows Phone 7.5 right there. Still very fluid, still very fast across the board. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll talk speed tests, camera settings, and Microsoft Store. So be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of the video.